And tonight, to help us break down the news, Dr. Taylor joins us. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
She's a Civil War historian and professor at the University of Kentucky. And I asked you earlier today if we could find some pictures of slave auctions at Cheapside, and I gather they're kind of rare. But you did come up with something that I thought was really revealing. Let's see if we can go ahead and put that up. And this was an advertisement, basically, for a January day in 1855, 5 years before the Civil War. That's not the picture I'm talking about. Let's go to the other one. And this particular advertisement, tell us about it, because it talks about slaves in not a human kind of sense of way.
Not at
all. As a piece of property.
No, I think this poster really sums up what was going on, not just at Cheapside, but slavery across the South. I guess it'll come up in just a moment, but what it does is it advertises one of the auctions that took place at Cheapside and lists the people who are involved. But what it really conveys is what this was all about, an attempt to put a price on a person's life.
Well, it refers to the men as bucks and the women as, I believe, wenches, and then a baby, as I think I'm pronouncing this right, a pickaninny, which is I understand, a racist term.
Absolutely.
So these were almost not referred to as people at that time in 1855.
No, and the auction showed very clearly they're viewed as property, that this was an attempt, and slavery was one great attempt to turn people into property who could be bought and sold like cattle or land.
How popular were these auctions in Lexington at Cheapside during the 1800s?
So from about the 1820s into the 1860s, this was something that happened monthly and sometimes more frequently than that. Thousands, even tens of thousands of black Kentuckians were sold through Lexington and also at another market through Louisville. And what this meant was that for these individuals, they might be sold away from their child, they might be sold away from their husband or wife, and many of them were sold to the Deep South, to the cotton plantations, where they would never see that child or that spouse ever again. And it left the people back in Kentucky wondering, would they be next?
So this was an important part of business in Lexington during that time period?
Yes, so Lexingtonians, they profited from slavery not just through the labor of enslaved people, but by buying and selling as well. There were slave traders who made it their profession in life to set up a business where they would round up enslaved people, keep them in pens, and then sell them either to the Deep South or somewhere else in Lexington. And they made big money off this.
And I should note that this didn't happen during the current courthouse that's there now. This is the fourth courthouse. This would have happened during the third courthouse, which was around 1806, I think, to 1888, and then later was taken down, and this is now the fourth courthouse. Let's talk about the border situation in the Civil War. Kentucky was a border state. How divided was this state? Union versus Confederate, the families?
I would say it's the most divided state of all. It's first, I think, important, though, to establish it was a Union state. So Kentucky never seceded, never joined the Confederacy, but there was a segment of the population that was wholeheartedly sympathetic with the Confederacy, and they did not go quietly.
And was this brother against brother at some points?
Oh my gosh, it was brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor, political leader against political leader. But yes, this line between the Union and Confederacy fell through households. And brothers did meet one another, and parents saw their children run off to the other side, and even husbands and wives found themselves coming to blows.
So a very divisive issue then, and now here we find ourselves more than a century later, very divisive in some other ways as well, and maybe some similar ones as well. Dr. Taylor, thank you very much for your time. Sorry it's so short.
Me.
I could talk to you for an hour, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can join the conversation by leaving your comments on WKYT.com or on our Facebook page. Let us know what you think.